Welcome back everyone, and thank you for taking the time to watch my video. The topic we'll go into is regarding a particular Transylvanian musician named Laka Kicsi Aladár, which is from the Kolozs commune, grouped by 8 villages in the Cluj county, or Kolozs Media in Hungarian, which is located in Transylvania, Romania. The album presented is titled Pátria, Erdőalji, Népzene, Kolozsi Kicsi Aladár és Bandája, which is the third of 50 CD volumes of the Pátria series produced by the Funu Budai Zeneház in 2010. Shout out to my music enthusiast friend Richard, who worked hard to send me this invaluable collection over to the United States for me. Laka Kicsi Aladár, or Little Aladar, was one among many legendary folk musicians from this part of the world. He was born in the year 1926, but I could not find info on his date of death. I want to say sometime in the early 2000s. His musical contribution to his local community in Transylvania and the studio recording sessions of him and his band are an invaluable treasure, especially for those who value this type of music. I'll quickly give an overview of the music's geographical location and an excerpt by Dr. Kelemen László and his impressions of Kicsi Aladár. The Erdőalji region, located primarily in Romania's Cluj county in Transylvania, is an ethnically diverse area with a significant Hungarian population. While the exact name of the region in the Middle Ages is unknown, the name itself, Erdőalji, means the foot of the forest, which was recognized as an independent microregion by ethnographer Kolozs in the mid-20th century. The village of Györfalva, or Györgen, is the only place in the region that maintains a Hungarian majority and distinct cultural identity. Folk music research confirms that Erdőalji is separate from both the Kolozsi and Mezőség regions. Now for me, Erdőalji has a very similar melodies and other musical patterns that remind me of Kolozsi. However, I am aware that there must be more to it as for the reasons why they are categorized, aside from the geographic location. The region is bordered to the east and northeast by the Kis-Samos River and the village of Kolozs, or Cojocna in Romanian. East of Kolozs lies the Mezőség region. The area between Kolozsvár, Kolozs, and Tolda is rich in local legends and beliefs tied to the natural landscapes, featuring mythical creatures and apparitions. The region also reflects a deep history of Romanian-Hungarian cultural interaction, which persisted into the late 20th century. And now here's an excerpt by Dr. László Kelemen and his thoughts on Laka Kicsi Aladár and his experiences with him. It's very heartfelt, it is down to earth, and I hope you enjoy it. I was very excited about the band from the village of Kolozs. I knew that the village had once been famous as a center for musicians. They went out from there in various formations to play in a 50-kilometer radius in the Mezőség and Kolozsi regions, from the Samos, Somes Valley, to the Maros, Mureș Valley. Zoltán Kolozs and György Martin's collection work in nearby Györfalva reveal that these Kolozs musicians played mainly in the Erdőalji region, including Györfalva. I was especially pleased when our organizer in Transylvania, András Tucegi, told me that he had found an elderly violinist from Kolozs, who had agreed to come to our recording sessions at the Funu in Budapest. That musician was Laka Kicsi Aladár, or Little Aladár. The moment he stepped into the studio, the air filled with a kind of delicate vibration. He was a small gypsy man with big expressive eyes, wearing a time-worn but spotlessly clean dark suit. It was immediately clear that, out of respect, the other musicians deferred to him. When I explained our project and work schedule to him, he understood immediately that the recordings would be testaments of his music that would survive him. From the first moment, He played with complete mental and physical concentration, so much that by the third day, he had blisters on the fingers of his left hand, as he had not been playing much at home anymore. He practically supervised the collection process for me and asked for maximum enthusiasm and cooperation from the other musicians as well. He was constantly scolding the poor viola player, who was hard of hearing and could not keep up with the faster tempos. What grabbed me immediately about Aladar's playing was that it would be impossible to confuse his tone quality and sound formation with anyone else's. Perhaps only the Kolotacek violinist, Csipas Ferenc Varga's playing was as emotional, sensitive, and expressive. Aladar played very skillfully. He used ornaments sparingly, clearly, and only in the most important places. His rhythm and tempo are impeccable, with supreme assurance and steadiness. His right bowing hand changes the pressure on the strings as he likes, to produce perhaps the intimate tone of a morning song, or the crisp, flashing sound of a Csárdás variation. His sense of harmony is outstanding. He not only leads the accompaniment harmony, but also complements it by using frequent double stops or supporting notes. During the recording sessions, many times he would switch to playing back up, continuously directing the accompaniment like the lead violin in a classical string quartet. He had a restless mind, which caused the vibration I mentioned above. While the soul of one melody was still ringing on his violin, he already had the next one in his mind. He was not one to repeat because nothing new came to mind. Instead, maybe he went on to the next melody too soon, while we would have been happy to hear more of that tune he just left behind. He was a true lead violinist, but if he wanted, he could pull back into the background to help the total chamber sound. This is something he would do when playing with big folk orchestra in Kolozsvár, or when playing for 500 people at those famous big weddings of yore with a band of 8 musicians, where they compensated for the lack of amplification by simply adding more instruments, i.e. cello, other violas. He always strived for perfection in all of the qualities listed here. But since perfection is unattainable, many in the local circles of musicians misunderstood him. They took his pride for conceit. They thought of him as eccentric and hard to get along with because of his fastidiousness, and there were musicians who did not like to play with him. He was, however, proud of the fact that he, as a village musician, had got into Kolozsvár's Philharmonia. This is what the gypsy musicians called the big professional orchestras that played arranged folk tunes on the post-World War II Soviet model. During the communist period, these orchestras were filled with gypsy musicians and supported by the city alongside the classical symphony orchestras. This gave him a secure monthly wage and a pension later on, in addition to playing at other weekend events and weddings. Because of his talent and Koloz's central location, he played over a wide area. He considered his playing territory to be Kolozs and Kolozsvár, as well as the Kolotacek region, where he played mainly for Hungarians and Hungarian Gypsies. He also knew and played the Romanian dance music, but he did not like it. During the Budapest recording sessions, he generally left this task to György Stoica, the other excellent violin player from Kolozs. Aladar would pull back and play second or just help out with advice on what or how to play, as you can hear on track 3 and 8, the album. Aladar's presence and music caused a real sensation in the circles of Budapest musicians. Right then and there, we invited him back to play on another record together with the Kolotacek musician Sándor Fodor Neti. They had played together before, but did not really get along. While making the record, they became friendly and the recordings were good. After that, they played together in Kolotacek, for example, at a Christmas ball in the village of Mera. When I visited him last, he was already ill. It was winter. He was living in a little flat in Samosvalda, or Someseni in Romanian, on the outskirts of Kolozsvár. Even though the flat was warm, He couldn't get warm. There was no light in his eyes. He was all wrapped up in the tattered remains of what had once been an elegant satin smoking jacket. He smoked one cigarette after the other and complained. I tried to cheer him up by telling him he would be coming to Budapest again. We would go to America to play some concerts. That was his dream. But that was the last time I saw him. After that, only the news of his death arrived. Ever since, his music had been ringing in my ears and rummaging in my mind around like a restless, wandering ghost. He is waiting for me to send this selection of music off into the world. Even if he didn't get the chance, at least his music will go to America and beyond. Other great musicians recorded during the Final Hour project have also passed on. Join them in peace, my friend. God be with you. Little Aladar. László Kelemen. I really enjoy that last part. Even if he didn't get the chance, at least his music will go to America and beyond. And here I am, just some guy out here in Arkansas listening to this type of music, to his music, and it feels great to be part of such a niche community, I guess, of music and that genre of folk music from an obscure part of the world, I guess, to most people. His music is really good. You can find the copy of this album online. I'll have links to the various sites where you can find it and buy a copy. If you live in the States, Funu Budai Zenehaz, the Hungarian music studio in Budapest, they'll ship it overseas, especially to the United States. I've ordered countless albums from them before. But anyhow, that was Laka Kicsi Aladár. I hope you all enjoyed this video and had learned some cool history about this guy and what his music represents. And you can check out my previous video that I uploaded featuring one of his songs from the album, and I'll probably upload more over time. You all have a great day. Love your family. Don't take today for granted, and I'll see you all next time.